Representative Rodney Green, Representative Brian Bard, Representative Lee Terry, Congressman Ken Calvert, along with Peter Husey, a senior defense consultant, along with 40 other members of Congress and numerous organizations such as the Global Security Watch, built up of 12 military experts, along with qualified analysts and experts, all came together with one conclusion. They recognized with the affirmative team that we can no longer turn a blind eye to China. The United States government has a legal obligation towards its citizens and to settle this violation of international law. And through this speech, I'll be looking at the concerns brought up by the negative team and really proving to you at the end of the day that the affirmative team's plan will only benefit Americans through international law, the legal obligations, and the benefits that we will provide. So I'll be looking at 3 main points. First, whose bonds are these? Secondly, will China pay? And finally, what are the results? So let's start off by looking at whose bonds are these. They again and again said, well, it's Taiwan's bond because Taiwan thinks they're responsible for them. Let me read what the bonds actually say. According to Ken Calvert, along with 9 other members of Congress, they say, quote, printed on these bonds is the following statement. These obligations are intended to be binding up to the government of China and any successor government, unquote. Nowhere in the negative team have they provided a card of evidence that the successor government and the international law that the affirmative team has been bringing up all around this round is only applicable if this government is only overthrown. All they have said is that in the Chinese or Taiwanese constitution, they believe that they should be responsible for it. But on the bonds themselves, the bonds that were issued to the country of China when they were won, it says that any successor government of that nation is responsible for these bonds. So under international law, what this means is that by international law, no matter what Taiwan recognizes as who's the debt, it is international obligation of China. It's China's bonds, it's China's debt, therefore it is China's obligation. Let's go on to the second main point. Will China actually pay these debts? Will China actually pay? And I'd like to point out that they said, well, at least could they bring up an expert that says China will pay? Here's a card from Richard Parker where he says, however, the Corporation of Foreign Security Holders is still in the books and represents the only chance for Americans to be paid. And at the end of the card of evidence, it says that unlike in 1949, China today has the ability to pay back this debt. It would be seen in good faith by Americans, and in turn, it would help reassure that China's increasing important place in the world. Here's the point. We can't mandate China. We can't go to the government as the affirmative team and make them do whatever they want. But as we've shown through experts and through precedents, which I'll be getting into, China will pay back their debt. So let's look at the 2 historical precedents ideas. And the first is of the 47 instances. And their first point under this was, were these successor governments? In the card of evidence provided by my partner, it says, in 47 bond interest settlements, it says the United States government recognized that the successor government doctrine of international law, and goes on to talk about the 47 instances. In these 47 instances, it was specific in using the international law of successor governments and showing that these countries did end up making a settlement. And my second point under this is that this agency has done deals with communistic governments. In the 1AC, we pointed out that this agency was successful in communistic governments. My final point under this is they talked about Argentina. Is Argentina the same as China? And that's where we look at Britain. My second point is looking at Britain. Now, they talked about the leverage of Britain and saying that the leverage with Britain is different. Well, I'd like to point out that the leverage that Britain uses was investments. They said that they threatened by keeping China out of the investments of Britain. They wouldn't be able to participate in their economy. What the affirmative team is doing is just a different way. We're using the same idea of investments through the rate of credit ratings. What credit ratings are is, will this country have investments from private and foreign investors? And if the credit rating drops, then no, they will not have the investors. It's the same principle that Britain used, just in different wording. Now, my second point under this is looking at Argentina. And the point is that Britain is different from Argentina for one simple reason: China. China. The reason why it's different is that Argentina is different from Britain is because it was specific to China. Margaret Thatcher stood up to the Chinese Communist government and said, you have to negotiate with us and pay this debt back. And what did China do? They paid it back. And that's why the historical precedence does apply, because it's with China and it's shown that China will pay America back. Well, what's the results? What's the results from the affirmative team's plan? And I'd like to point out first that the negative team has lacked to show you many disadvantages of the affirmative team's plan. Even if you vote for the affirmative team, even if we get a small portion of these billions of dollars, they've yet to show you why this is a bad thing. And my first point under this is of credit ratings. They are ignoring my partner's response of the simple idea of a credit rating. When a country fails to pay back its debt, its credit rating drops. That's simple logic, and that's how the credit rating agencies work. As a matter of fact, we read a card of evidence that that's how the credit rating agencies work. And my second point under this is looking at the negotiations will benefit Americans. I've showed you in this speech that China will pay us, they will negotiate, and through this evidence in justification 2, it talks about if China pays us. That's what selective negotiation and paying the bonds are. If China pays us, all of America will benefit. It's because because of these principles, I ask that we hold Trinidad accountable.